Okay, everybody. Hello, everybody.
Hello to you.
Hello. Hello.
Good.
Hello.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. I'm going to ask you to start by muting yourself. At some point, Marcelo might invite us to share thoughts and ideas and things. And then when we speak, we can unmute. But if not, it's very difficult to figure out who is talking. Let me just start with some technical things and then with more spiritual things. The technical things, it's wonderful to see so many. It's 27 and going up. The technical things is that if there's different ways to do to see if you're using a computer or an iPad or a phone or whatever you're using, you can decide what you want to see. You'll see the different views. There is speaker view, which means you only see the speaker, or you see gallery view and then you get to see everybody, or you can see just the speaker and yourself. So play with that and you can figure it out. There is also a chat that you can use. It's often in the bottom of your app. The chat allows you both to say something to everyone. So if Marcelo is saying something that inspires you, but it's instead of saying, hey, oh, I feel like that, which might be difficult, you can write it and we can all see it. And the best part of this, you know how you schmooze in the back of the show and we shush you all the time? You can schmooze with someone and we will never know. You can chat privately with people. So you could write a chat to Gary and say, Gary, I haven't seen you in 3 weeks. So good to see you. Neither Marcelo, nor me, nor Reb Moshe. No one will see you. You can do it. This is the best schmoozing app you can get without getting your rabbis to ask you to be quiet. And again, keep your microphone mute unless Marcelo invites us to share. And then there is a way also for raising hands if you would like to, but we can also raise hands and get to talk and make sure everybody is there.
Just, can you hear me well?
Yes.
Yes, great, because I disconnected my lapel mic, so I'm able to hear also. But I would like for people to just have the chat, okay, the writing chat available. So I may need to ask you things that I would like to read what you have to say. Sorry, Claudia, I interrupted you.
Perfect. So that is the technicalities. And now to say how this has been quiet a week. It feels like it's been a long time, but it's been just a lot for all of us. And I feel incredibly blessed both to have our amazing community and to have friends, teachers, and colleagues to really figure out how to be together in this moment. And Marcelo, as you all know by now, because he was here for my inspiration, is my dearest teacher and friend, and it's been my grounding rock through my whole life. So it's the first person kind of like I reach out in this moment, and I decided I wanted to share him with all of you. So I am incredibly blessed and grateful that Marcelo, from his beautiful, amazing house in Costa Rica, which I have been blessed to be in, is going to able to lead us through this time of contemplative practice. So without further ado, here's Marcelo. I'm just seeing a lot in the chat where it is, first of all, I'm recording this, so we will be able to share it. And to say that Gary just said that there's a raise your hand in the participants if you would like to. But I'm going to mute myself now, and everybody should mute themselves. And if not, I will mute you because I can do that. And I will pass it to my friend, teacher, beloved teacher, Rabbi Marcelo Bronstein.
Thank you, Claudia. Really, it's a blessing. It's an honor to be here, to be again with you. I would like to be sure that people can write their comments, and I would like to see all the comments, even the comments that you don't want us to see. So it's okay with me. I'm not your rabbi, so you can I could learn a lot from the community, about the community from those comments. So I just want to say something about you guys. As Claudia mentioned, I was able to be there for the installation and to participate in that amazing weekend. And I said to Claudia, I feel at home with you. So I hope to come back. And Claudia challenged you to have a TBZ retreat here in Costa Rica. And one day, let's imagine that this mishigas, this terrible thing, this pain, this nightmare will pass one day, and we're going to be able to live a normal life. And at the same time, we will be able to learn, because this is going to be an amazing teaching experience. This is going to be a teaching experience. The Talmud says, Adam nikar vekiso vekoso vekaso. The human being is known, vekiso, in his or her pocket, vekoso, when he or she is angry, vekaso, when he's angry, and vekoso, when he or she drinks, when we loosen up. And I would say that a situation that you're living now, it's a combination of all the above. So there is an incredible opportunity to look at things in our lives, because we are completely taken away from our comfort zone. Completely taken away in the comfort zone. And somebody was saying to me, Marcelo, but you do retreats all the time. I have done retreats for myself. For many, many years, I have done retreats in the States, in Costa Rica, in Nepal, in Hawaii, many, many different places. But one thing is by choice to make a retreat, to look inside. Another thing is to be forced to retreat in a massive scale with the consequences that these have. But I would like to bring also a little bit the wisdom of retreating to the nightmare that we are living in this moment, which is to understand that there is an opportunity here too. There was a Hasidic master. He was called Rabbi Gamzu. There's a lot of stories about Gamzu. Gamzu, because he used to say Gamzu, Gamzu, Gamzu letova. This is also for good. And he didn't mean that death is for good, tragedy is for good, murder is for good, or a pandemic situation is for good. He didn't mean that. What he meant is that we're going to take something good out of this. Nobody would choose to be living this, but since we have to be living this because we don't have a choice, so let's learn from it. And this is what I would like to focus on. First, just two concepts that are floating around for us. There are two concepts in general that are much, much alive in this moment. One is the concept of pikuach nefesh. Pikuach nefesh is saving a life. And there are discussions what happens if the temple is burning, the Torot are inside. What do you save first? The child that is inside of the Torah? Of course, the response without an iota of a doubt that we save the child, because life is above and beyond everything and comes first. So we are in a pikuach nefesh situation. We are in a pikuach nefesh situation. And the pikuach nefesh situation also has to do with flattening this curve. Suddenly we are all experts about flattening the curve of the disease. Basically, scholars are saying that we are all going to get sick. I already know people who got sick and got better, Baruch Hashem, thank God. And people are sick. It's not clarity. If we are sick, we already have antibodies. Some people are saying that people are getting sick twice. We have to find out more. But the whole issue of flattening the curve has to do about not overwhelming the health facilities, not overwhelming the doctors, not overwhelming the first responders, the nurses, who are heroes. And if we are able to flatten the curve, the people who are taking care of us are going to be able to practice pikuach nefesh. So the way of practicing pikuach nefesh is by doing the most to flatten this curve. That takes you to another concept, which is very, very connected to this, and where the majority of the world is now. The doctors at the extreme are in pikuach nefesh, that they have to do everything and anything to save the lives of those who are sick. The rest of us are in the sakanat nefashot. Okay, we are in the sakanat nefashot category, which is risk. We're in a risk situation to become a pikuach nefesh situation. We're at the risk of becoming somebody who could be sick. So sakanat nefashot means that we have to do everything. It's a mitzvah. It's a mitzvah to do anything and everything not to enter into the situation that we need pikuach nefesh with ourselves. Because that's the way to protect the healthcare system and to protect, imagine the people who are in need to go to the hospital. My mother-in-law, in this moment, my mother-in-law has to go to the hospital yesterday night, not related to this. The regular situations of life. So we have to leave space for those people, for the doctors. So we are all humanity, we're all together in the sakanat nefashot category. I've been hearing people saying, well, I don't believe in this, and it's this is an exaggeration, and this is too much. It's, people who are reacting in this way is because they look at too many horror movies. And what I would say something about that is, it would be very hard to imagine that scientists around the world got together to have the same opinion about this. So we have very serious people behind this. So this is not a matter of belief. And when we are saying, I believe, I don't believe in this, we could be spreading fake news. And there's no moment, there's no time here for fake news. And this is what a lot happens with leaders who didn't want to react to the truth and to take preventive measures before. We are everybody in the sakanat nefashot category. We are people in risks. And it's a mitzvah, I want to put it very clear, it's a mitzvah as a Jew in this moment to stay away from the risk as much as we can, for the sake of not bothering the pikuach nefesh world. So that's regarding Jewish law in this moment, to make a big painting where we are all together as humanity here. And this is also something interesting for the walls, the walls mentality. We have to build the walls against the immigrants and the walls in the West Bank and the walls. There's no walls here. No walls here. And it's so sad, so sad that we need something like this to remind us that we are all one race, the human race. There's no distinguishing here for the virus between men, women, gay, straight, trans, black, white, yellow, Asian, whatever you are. Wherever you are, you're at risk. Why? Because you're a human being. So sad that something like this has to remind us that we are all brothers and sisters in this together. So the invitation from Claudia, was to tackle into my passion in this moment in life, which is Jewish mindfulness. So besides being Claudia's mentor, kind of father, that one day, Claudia, what do you think? I should do a video chat about stories from Claudia as a teenager. What do you think? No. That would be a good one.
Before or after her next contract? Sorry.
You would love her even more, because the rabbi that you see now, you could tell she was there. So that's the funny part of all this. So sakanat nefashot, pikuach nefesh, and the mindfulness. So I'm a clinical psychologist. So before being a rabbi, I was a clinical psychologist. I worked with family, with teens. I love teens. Teenagers, for me, I know they're a pain in the neck. I know. I'm not romanticizing them. I had 3, and I know they drive you crazy. I know they have a PhD, summa cum laude, with glory on knowing where to put the finger. They know exactly where to put the finger, where it hurts, and then opening the wound and putting a little bit of salt. So they are masters in that. At the same time, because the teens live in a paradox, which is they need to distance themselves from us, but they need us to distance themselves from us. They don't have the strength, so they live in the paradox. I hate you because I need you to distance myself from you. I need to be close to you to distance myself from you. It's a paradox. It's an impossible paradox. So all these mishigas that comes with teens has to do with living this paradox until they are able to really distance themselves. But besides that, I, as a Camp Ramah leader and as a Camp Ramah director, it was very easy for me to go into work with teenagers. And I learned a lot from teenagers. I learned a lot. There is when you are working as a psychologist with teenagers, let's say we have a teen who is called Gabriel. Okay, let's have a Gabriel in front of us. So as a psychologist, I never knew which Gabriel was going to come to me. Was Gabriel with that same last name? But who that Gabriel is going to be? Is going to be the psychopath? Is going to be the wise one? Is going to be the one who is a toddler? Is going to be, so it's really very interesting to see the different aspects of themselves fighting to be a human being. And the issue of fears. Teens are very, very much in touch with their fears because they know that the illusion that the parents can protect them from the reality of life is over. That game is over. So they know they have to behave, and they know that they have to be a human being in spite of themselves. So it's very tough. You don't have the spirituality, you don't have the mentality, you don't have the engine to be a race car, and you're being asked to be a race car. So teens are very much in touch with their fears, and they have to wrestle with their fears. So I learned a lot listening to them, really, really paying attention to them, to the fears that we all carry on in our lives, but we have learned to suppress them because it's not nice to be able to be living all the time in contact with our fears. So I just bring a piece of Torah. I have a lot of pieces of Torah from my psychology background, but this is a mixture from my psychology background and also the youth director and Camp Ramah director. From the Jewish perspective, I want to bring all these concepts like sakanat nefashot, like pikuach nefesh, that are pumping up to the surface to give us a context. And the mindfulness is the capacity to pay attention. The capacity to pay attention. And that's what the allegory of a retreat came in. When I go to a retreat, or you go to a retreat, you come to a retreat with me, you're going to be invited to really, really pay attention. But pay attention in a way that you never paid attention before. As I said before, we are being forced to be here. We are being forced to a situation that we didn't choose. And we are being in a retreat with our family, or by ourselves, which is something that maybe we didn't choose. We wouldn't have chosen to be in a retreat with ourselves alone. Jack Kornfield, a great mindfulness teacher, says, the mind, it's a very dangerous neighborhood. Don't go alone. Okay? The mind is a very dangerous neighborhood. Don't go alone. And so many of us are forced to be alone. So in this regard, this is a forced retreating, social isolation, we're calling it. So let's take advantage. Let's take advantage of this situation. Jewish mindfulness, for me, is an invitation to be just an invitation. Sorry, somebody's asking me, Pikuach Nefesh, what is it? Pikuach Nefesh is when we have to save a life, okay? Pikuach Nefesh, Doche Shabbat. Pikuach Nefesh is more important, even you can transgress Shabbat for Pikuach Nefesh. And Sakanat Nefashot is danger, to put ourselves in danger or being in danger of a situation. So we are all in the category of Sakanat Nefashot. Sorry, I'm repeating a little bit because somebody was asking. But now I'm in the Jewish mindfulness landscape. And the Jewish mindfulness landscape, there is a concept that comes from mysticism that I just love. I love. And I speak a lot about this in my workshops and classes, which is the concept of Bein Hashmashot. Bein Hashmashot. Literally translated, between the suns, or between the sun and the moon. I'm going to say it in even plain English, twilight zone. The twilight zone, the space in between, the twilight zone. We are in a twilight zone situation. We are in an unexpected place where humanity has been taken by force, to be in this crazy, eerie, we have a sense of finale, like the end of the world type of feeling. So it's a twilight zone. The Jewish mysticism, in this case I'm calling it Jewish mindfulness, it's inviting us to inhabit the Bein Hashmashot. Not to not to be afraid of it. Let me give you an example. What do I mean by Ben Hashmashot? And this I learned many, many years ago when I was a rabbinical student in Israel from one of my teachers at yeshiva. He was saying that a shiva call, when we go to the house of mourning, it's a Ben Hashmashot situation. Tell me if you don't feel it, okay? You go to the house. Some of us have a sign at the door how to behave, you know, not to talk to the mourners and let the mourners talk to us. And there's some food there. The mourner is sitting in a lower bench, and we pray, we share memories about the deceased. And if there are many people sharing memories of the deceased, suddenly we are taken to a feeling. We have a feeling. We begin to feel the presence of the absence of the person. And it's completely different about reading an obituary. It's completely different about somebody telling us about somebody else. We're at the house, their mirrors are covered. There is a sense of, depends the type of death, could be a sense of a celebration of life. It could be a sense of tragedy. But we are entering into this between life and death, as if the mourners are inviting us to their zone. And the zone is this place where now we are in touch and beginning to live with the presence of the absence of the loved one. So we get in as visitors to this Ben Hashmashot, this twilight zone, and then we get out. It's like we are in an altered reality. Sometimes I feel the same but very different. Of course, entering into an airplane, we're in a different reality type of thing. In a hospital, situations when you know that there is a purpose there, and we are entering into a zone. For me, the Shiva is one of the most powerful expressions of that. Ben Hashmashot is the place of being in touch with our souls. Being in touch with our souls. And this is when, you know, the teenager in us comes to me. The teen who is afraid that he or she will have to start to prepare for college, that he or she doesn't know how to express their sexuality, that he or she is terrified of disappointing the parents or in love with another kid who's not in love with her or with him, whatever. Well, all these hormones playing the game, trying to come up. So a lot of fear. And there's a lot of fear that is also rooted, that comes from childhood. And many of these fears, we have stored them. Let's imagine that here we have files, okay, subconscious, unconscious. We have stored them, but they come out, these fears, and they resonate with things that happens outside. So we are having now with this situation, the philharmonic of fear playing for us. We have the scenario where wherever our fears go to, and some of us who have experienced tragedy, who have experienced war. For example, another personal example. I was in the Yom Kippur War. I volunteered I did the GAT 9, the army in Israel. And I remember the feeling that this is over. This is over. You know, those days, we thought that the Syrian army was coming in. I was in the north. And after the second night, whatever, we were not killed, I wrote a tremendous letter to my father, because I said to myself, I don't know if I'm going to be able to see him. So it was a finale that was approached to me. So a situation like this brings closer to us the fear of death that we all have by nature, because we all know the only certainty that we have in life is that we're going to die. That's the only certainty we have. But we don't live with that certainty, because if we would be living with that certainty closer to us, many of us, we will not make some of the decisions that we made in life, or waste the time that we allow ourselves to waste thinking that there's always a tomorrow. So the fear of death is one of the most powerful rooted fears that we have. Of course, together, the fear of getting sick, the fear of being paralyzed. So all these fears are there, are plain, loud, and clear. So what is the possibility that I believe mindfulness, in this case for me, Jewish mindfulness is presenting to us, is the possibility of sitting with our fears and looking at them and talking to them. Because our mind, remember that I told you that Jack Cornfield said, the mind is a dangerous neighborhood, don't go alone. John Kabat-Zinn, who lives very close to you, he says that the mind goes always to judgment and negative predictions. So we have a judger that lives inside of us that drives us crazy. So when we are afraid to die, the judger, the Kisei Adin, the guy who makes judgments, it's pushing and pushing and pushing. So the movies that we create in our head are much worse than the movies that we have in front of us. The movie that we have in front of us is serious, is damn serious. But maybe the movie that we create inside of us, the movie that we create inside of us goes to the most tragic event that is possible. And we have to help ourselves. So I believe that mindfulness, paying attention, because mindfulness, definition of mindfulness is paying attention to the attention in a non-judgmental way. So paying attention is something that could help us to be in touch with our fears, to be in touch with what is coming up for us. And instead of putting it out, instead of fighting with this, instead of saying, okay, I have to get distracted, I'm going to watch 37 movies a day, things like that, which, you know, maybe to watch 35 or 37 movies a day is good if that will help us not to go to the fridge 37 times. You know, so we could have some avoidance things to do, but it's important also to be in touch with our feelings and to be in touch with our fears. Quoting again Kabat-Zinn, and after that I'm going to invite you to do an exercise with me, is his definition of thoughts. And this is great. You know, he's a Jewish guy, but what's his definition of thoughts? You know, for us Jews, thinking is so important. And a philosophy professor of mine used to say that we Jews have the body only to support the head, because the head is so important. So he defines thoughts as secretions of the mind. So what are thoughts? Thoughts are what the mind does, whether we like it or not. And it's what the heart does is pumping, whether we like it or not, even if we pay attention or not. So then we, of course, generate thoughts. We are able to generate thoughts, but when we don't generate thoughts, thoughts generate by themselves. Why? Because that's what this muscle, this thing that we have inside does. That's the job of the mind, to generate thoughts. And this mind generates thoughts that associate us with feelings. Feelings create more thoughts. Thoughts create more feelings. And when we wake up, and this could be in 2 seconds, we are in a horror movie. So if we could be in a Bein Hashmashot, in the twilight zone, and we can distance ourselves a little bit and be in the space, Bein Hashmashot, the space in between thoughts and reaction, we can protect ourselves from our feelings and from our thoughts. That's basically what the whole trick is about, but it takes a lot of practice, a lot of practice. I have a meditation practice for many, many, many years already. In this moment, in Costa Rica, I have extended it. Now I have an hour and a half practice every day because I could go to the mountain, I hike every day, and I go to the river. I could do a lot of things that I couldn't do in New York. But in New York, I used to walk every day. There's one amazing thing in New York called Central Park. And there's another amazing thing in New York called Riverside Park. So I would never go to the office just if I could. I would go only walking. So are you there, guys? Because I hear voices. Are we all okay? Is everybody okay?
Yeah, we are, but someone needs to mute themselves.
Okay, I got it.
Let's all of us mute.
Mute myself.
Look at the mute button. I just want to say this doesn't work with another human being, okay? Don't try to look the mute button in somebody else. Only works with us. So, thank you for muting. So, this is an invitation to go into the Bein Hashmashot, the twilight zone, and to be in the space in between. Be in the space in between. So, we all know, I believe, at least I heard this at TBZ, the Ashrei prayer, okay? Ashrei yoshvei beitecha od yalelu chasela. Happy are those who are able to sit in your house, oh God. Hallelujah. So I'm going to translate a little bit. I'm going to drash, do a midrash. And I'm going to say, content, happy are those who have the courage to sit. Just sit. To stop the thing, computers, to stop all the gadgets, which I love, and Baruch Hashem for them, look what is helping us to be connected in this moment. But also the gadgets that we have inside, okay, the mind. Great are those, wonderful are those, happy are those, content are those who are able to sit and pay attention to the inside. So I'm going to chant the Ashrei. Those of you muted who know it, sing with me, and I'm going to guide you through a short meditation. Ashrei Yoshvei beitecha od yalelu chasela. Oh, yalelu chasela. I invite you to close your eyes and sit in a position is with your back straight, in a position that conveys dignity, that conveys the commitment to be here, to be present. And go inside and pay attention to my voice, paying attention to my voice. And when the mind wanders off, you come back to my voice. You come back to my voice, because the voice is the trusted anchor, and the mind is going to go a million times and a million times per second. You come back to my voice. Sit straight, you're with your eyes closed, with your eyes closed. Ashrei Yoshvei Veitecha Od Yalelu Chasela Od Yalelu Chasela Ashrei Yoshvei Veitecha Od Yalelu Chasela Od Yalelu Chasela Yaraira Yaraira Yarara Yara Yaira Ya Yarara Yarara Ya Yarara. I invite you with your eyes closed to visualize yourself seated in the place you are at home. Or visualize a place in your home where you would like to cultivate a sitting practice of a few minutes a day. Visualize yourself seated in silence in a place where you could be in touch with your soul. You could be in touch with the Kol Mamadaka, the still small voice of your soul that is crying to be heard. Visualize yourself sitting in silence with the ashrei, with the joy of being able to sit for a moment, to slow down for a moment, to not to listen to anybody or news for a moment, and to be in touch really with you, with joy, with gratitude for being alive. I invite you to allow the worst situation of fear that you experience in your life. I know that it's not fun. So bring back a situation of fear, of danger, of fear that you have experienced in your life. A situation where you were actually terrified, very afraid, almost entering into panic, but you're seated with me now. That situation is not here, but you're looking at yourself with those thoughts of fear. I invite you to allow the tools that you feel you develop to confront that fear. What was it? What were the tools that you have developed through life and were expressed in that moment of tremendous fear? I'm sure there were one or two tools that stay with you. Could be looking always at the truth, could be sense of humor, could be to be connected. Whatever that is, We all develop tools that help us to survive situations of fear. And those tools live inside of us. So Ashrei Yoshvei Beitecha. It's so great when we could be seated, confronted by our fears, but knowing that we have tools. So look at your tools. Don't engage with your tools. Just look at them, notice them, and know that they are there. Ashrei Yoshvei Beitecha. It's so wonderful to be seated with our tools, with our toolkit that have survived and help us to survive so many situations. Ashrei Yoshvei. I could be seated with my fears, looking at them and looking at the tools that we have developed. Ashrei Yoshvei. How happy I am, joyful, full of gratitude for having developed those tools. Ashrei Yoshvei Beitecha Oh Yalelu Chasela Oh Yalelu Chasela Ashrei Yoshvei Beitecha Oh Yalelu Chasela Oh Yalelu Chasela. At our own pace, we open our eyes. I don't know if you're still there. Claudia, you still there? Is everybody still there? I know that we ran out of time. I went over the time. And anybody say something to see if you come up?
Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you for saying something. I don't know if I was left alone.
No, no, we have people here. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So thank you to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you to Rav Claudia, Rav Moshe. Thank you for you at TBZ. And I hope there is another opportunity in another time. And remember that you could sit. And sitting with our fears doesn't mean that I have to listen to them. I have to look at them, notice them, and let them pass like a thought, like a cloud. And knowing that also we have tools to cope with them. So I send you love. Thank you, Claudia, for putting my website there.
So I just want to say that you can actually, Marcelo leads a lot of mindfulness meditation online. So if you like him on Facebook, Rabbi Marcelo Bronstein on Facebook, he does a lot. I often sit with him through Facebook. And also if I just put his website, so you can actually get his newsletter where he announces different things that he does. I'll talk to him offline to get him again to do something just for us, but he does a lot of things for a lot of people, and we should take advantage of this personal relationship with him, but to be able to receive his Torah. And I know that at this time, this is so important to me. So sharing it with all of you. I'm sharing you one of my most precious favorite things with all of you. That means I like you a lot, TVZ.
Thank you. And I said before, I really felt so much at home at TBZ. And we know that this shall pass. God willing, soon. And God willing, I will be able, besides you, hoping if you're coming here, but also I hope to be back with you. So thank you, Claudia, for the invitation.
So just to finish is we have so many other opportunities. If you want to study Torah this week Parsha, Vayakel Pekudeh, Torah study at 7:30 with our amazing rabbinical student, Tyler Dratch. And I send that. So he'll be teaching Torah study at 7:30 this evening. And as every morning, we have been meeting for Boker Talk TBC at 9. And it's been an incredibly great opportunity to connect with each other. In the morning, 9 to 9:30, we do a little of tefillah, a little bit silence. We say Kaddish together, we say healing together, and we all get to share how are we doing. So that's been very special. And we'll continue sending the different programs to be joining virtually for now. We will have Kabbalat Shabbat again at 6 virtually, and a Havdalah, and send many resources, including a meditation that our wonderful, this time, Sheila Yocheved, who is here, she'll be leading us, sending us a meditation for this Shabbat. So really continuing building our community in the best ways we can. And if you can, make a few phone calls, call TBZ members. I think that's been really very powerful for us to be able to connect with each other. So Marcelo, I love you, te adoro.
Love you too.
Thank you everybody for being here, and may we find healing and blessings, and may we come out from all this stronger and closer to each other. Thank you. Thank you all for joining.
Much love. Thank you.
Thank you.